Hello, friends. Welcome to the Bible Hour. This is your host, Dr. John David Howe. This evening, instead of a Bible study, we're going to have a bit of a Bible review. What you see in front of you is a vintage Cambridge Cameo King James Bible. Now, Cambridge has been publishing this Bible since the 1920s, and so this has been around for a long, long time. It's been reprinted several times through subsequent decades. It's also been issued in a wide margin version. Although the wide margin version is no longer available, it's out of print. So if you get one of those, that has to be through a secondhand source. They do still print the Cameo, however, in a non-wide margin format, and that's what we have before us today. Now, this particular Bible was printed somewhere between 1945 and 1977. And the reason why I know that is because when we open the Bible up and we come to the title page, if we go to the back side of the title page, it'll say printed in Great Britain at the University Press, or Printing House rather, Cambridge, Brooke Crutchley University Printer. And so you see Brooke Crutchley. Now, if you go to Google, you can actually pull up a list of the university printers down through the years. I believe it goes all the way back to like the 1600s or something like that. Cambridge has been printing Bibles since 1591, so they're the oldest Bible publisher in the world. But if you look at the history of their printers, you'll find that Brooke Crutchley was the university printer from 1945 to 1977. So that means that this Bible was printed somewhere between that time frame. Now, I think that it may have been printed around 1966, but I can't prove that. But the reason why I think that is this: if we come to the end of Revelation and we look at Revelation chapter 22, here at the bottom we see this 45F and then the 66. And so if I'm understanding this correctly, that means this Bible was probably printed in 1966. And so that means this Bible is right around 54, perhaps close to 55 years of age. And so as you can see, for a Bible that old, it is in superb condition. I obtained this on eBay for the ridiculous price of $30 plus shipping. And so as far as I'm concerned, it was a steal of a deal. And so the Cameo is my favorite font of any Bible. I love the Concord by Cambridge also. I love the Oxford Long Primer, the Oxford Brever Clarendon. Those are all wonderful, wonderful typesets. The Cambridge Turquoise is another wonderful typeset. But my personal favorite of all time, if I could only have one Bible, I would want it to be the Cameo font as far as my personal Bible. And so the Bible that I typically preach and teach from is a Cameo wide margin. And so this, again, is not the wide margin. This is just the regular Cameo. But I do have a couple of Cameo wide margins by Cambridge as well. And so my Cambridge Cameo wide margin is typically the Bible I fall back on the most as far as preaching and teaching. Now, looking at this Bible is bound in Morocco leather. And you can see the grain of the leather, how pebbly it looks. The cover for a Bible this old is just in fabulous, fabulous condition. And what's interesting is this is not a paste down liner. This is Morocco leather lined as well. And so you can see it's got a leather lining on the inside also. And so that's very unique and not very typical as far as previous Cameos that I've seen before. You can see that this Bible is indeed edge-lined to reinforce the binding. It does not have art gilding, but it does have gold gilding. And again, for a Bible this old, it's very, very impressive that the gilding still looks as good as what it does. It comes with one ribbon marker. It's got red and yellow headbands and tailbands. On the spine, it says Holy Bible, Concordance, and Cambridge. It does not have raised hubs, but it does have 5 hubs that are tooled into the leather. And so once again, you can see the shine and the gloss, which for a Bible that's over 50 years old, I'm just very, very impressed with that. And so as we open the Bible up, There is one cardstock page. You can see how these two pages are glued together as they are supposed to be as far as the edge lining to provide support for the binding. You've got a blank page right there. And then there's the title page. The Holy Bible containing the Old and New Testaments translated out of the original tongues and with the former translations diligently compared and revised by His Majesty's special command, appointed to be read in churches, cum privilegio or with privilege, and then Cambridge at the University Press, and so forth. And we turn the page over on the other side. Here's where we see that it was published by the syndicate of the Cambridge University Press with their address. And then here at the bottom, once again, we see who the printer was at that time, Brooke Crutchley. The next thing we have is the translator to the readers. Of course, this was written by Dr. Miles Smith, one of the final editors of the King James Bible, as well as one of its translators. And so this was written when it was presented to the king. Also, when we turn the page here, we see the table of contents as far as the books of the Old and New Testament. And then we get right into Genesis chapter 1. And so, as you can see, let me zoom in here a little bit. The font on the Cameo is just superb. And this is bold and black and so legible. I'm not sure if you can tell in this light, but the pages are slightly yellow due to age. And so when this Bible was brand new, I'm sure they were much more of a white color, but they're almost like a creamy white now due to age. This is printed on India paper, and this is the nicest Bible paper that I've ever seen as far as India paper. Very, very opaque, very little ghosting, hardly any ghosting. I do not believe this is line matched, but you would never know that it's not line matched. It just looks really, really superb. And so this is a black letter edition. And so when we come over to the New Testament, there are no red letters in the New Testament. If you buy a new Cameo, the one that Cambridge is putting out right now, they're doing two different ones. There's one that comes with the Apocrypha, and then there's one that's just the straight King James text. And the one that does not have the Apocrypha, I know for sure that that's a red letter edition. The one with the Apocrypha, I'm not sure if that's red letter or not. Of course, as a Baptist and as a King James Bible believer, I don't lay any weight on the Apocrypha anyway, other than perhaps some historical value. Certainly it's not inspired scripture as the rest of the Old and the New Testament are. And so there is the New Testament title page. Then we get into the book of Matthew. And once again, you can see as I turn these pages that it is indeed a black letter edition. Now, as we come to the end of the New Testament here, let's come to Revelation chapter 22, so we can see what happens after the Bible ends here. Here's Revelation 22, so there's the end of the Scriptures. And then we have a concordance to the Old and New Testaments. And so this is the standard Cambridge concordance that was in their Bibles for years. There is no dictionary in here, just the concordance. There are no additional pages for notes as far as like any note pages or lined pages or things like that. And then after the concordance, we get into the Cambridge Bible maps and gazetteer. And these, of course, are the old school Cambridge maps. If you purchase a new Cameo, of course, it will have different maps than what you're seeing here. And so, but there you go. There is a vintage Cameo King James Bible from Cambridge. Again, I believe it was published somewhere around 1966. And so you may not be able to get one exactly like this as far as Morocco leather and so forth. But if you go to Amazon or other sources for King James Bibles, you will find an example of the Cameo available for sale commercially today. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please leave those down in the comments. I'll be happy to try to answer those for you. And I hope that you've enjoyed taking a look at this vintage Cambridge classic. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.